What's up, everybody? Jason Kirch here with 4Runner. Thank you for coming today. I really am glad to see you. Do you like my new office? This is new. So I was upstairs. We decided to move my office downstairs so that I could then share a room with Samuel, because this bedroom that I'm in is right down the hall from the master bedroom. I moved the girls upstairs. So this used to be the girls' bedroom, which is why it's a little periwinkle blue. Is that a color? I don't know if I'm gonna paint it. I probably should paint it white. I haven't decided yet. Frankly, I haven't had really a whole lot of time to do anything. I just barely got this stuff set up back there so that it's not ugly behind me. I kind of like the blue. It looks kind of good on camera, but what do you think? I got to get through this real quick because my wife's trying to kick me out of here because it's nap time for the baby, and I got to get into the office anyway. So you can show your support to us as always by clicking that subscribe button and of course hitting the like button and sharing it with your friends. Today we're going to talk about why I picked a Toyota 4Runner. Actually, Cappy from 410 Expedition, if you're not following him, follow him. Maybe I can link him at the end of the video. He is in the process of picking up a brand new, figuring out like what he's going to do next. I guess he's giving his Jeep to his son. I'm going to end up in a scenario like that in a couple of years. I've got kids that are getting older, and he is picking a new Overland vehicle, a new build, and it's got me thinking, why did I pick a Toyota 4Runner? So that's what we're going to talk about today. When it comes to Overland vehicles, there's literally like tons and tons of options. I mean, you can really do just about whatever you want. You really just kind of have to like think about like what your needs are and like what you want and like what you're trying to accomplish, where you're trying to go, what do you need? I mean, I don't know. And if you don't really know anything about it, maybe this will help give you some direction, because honestly, I had no idea what I was getting myself into, and I didn't know a whole lot, but I did enough research in the beginning to try and start out with a good platform. I'm going to tell the story, but there's tons and tons of options out there. You've got 4th gen Forerunners with a V8. A lot of people really like those. It's got a lot of power and a little bit lightweight. You've got 100 series Land Cruisers and 200 series Land Cruisers if you can afford them. You have 2nd and 3rd gen Tacomas. You've got Xteras. You've got that new Chevrolet Colorado that comes in a diesel and front and rear lockers. I mean, hello, that thing's a beast. I just found out actually that you can get the brand, like a brand new Mercedes Sprinter van with like 15 seats in there. I don't think the 15 seat variant is this cheap, but you can get it with a diesel and a V8 and like tons of like fancy luxury car creature comforts, which is kind of cool. And those are like, I spec'd one out the other day, and those are around 60,000 with tons and tons of bells and whistles. That may be in my future. I'm not saying anything, but maybe a couple of years down the road, something big enough for everybody, but we'll see. Oh, and how can I forget about the Jeeps? Jeeps, they make tons and tons of different options. I don't see a whole lot of people doing anything other than with like the Wranglers. I've always been a fan of Jeeps. I think we're gonna probably get a Wrangler someday, but there's some reasons why I didn't go with Jeeps and, you know, or with a Nissan or some of these other things. I just really wanted to buy a Toyota. Do you remember that car that I had, that red BMW wagon? I don't know what vlog it was, maybe 5 or 6 or 7, somewhere in the first 10, way back at the beginning of last year of 2017. That was my second newer BMW that I'd had. And I had had good experiences with BMWs when I was younger. I had a 10-year-old 1987 BMW when I was in high school. Drove that thing for 50 or 60,000 miles, never had an issue with it. I had a 10-year-old BMW like in 2007, 2008. It was a 1998 that I had, and I never had any issues with it either. Both of those were high mileage cars when I bought them. And so when I bought my first newer BMW, it was a 2011 or 2012 335. Really fun one car, but I had constant issues with it. I was constantly, it was under warranty, but I was constantly taken to the dealership. It was really, really frustrating. Then for some reason, I don't know what I was thinking, I went and got a brand new one. I got a 2014 328 wagon. I always wanted a BMW wagon. It was a really cool car, great looking. It was fun to drive. And it was always like, I felt like I was always, I think I plotted it out during one 12-month period. I was in the dealership every other month. I mean, you know, and it was under warranty. There wasn't any costs involved except for my time. It was an hour to get there, an hour to get back. I had a loaner car, and they usually didn't give me a BMW loaner car. And then I'd have an hour back out there, an hour back home to pick it up. And then I was without the car for a couple of days. I actually got to a point where I would just wait on the car, but it was so much time invested in stupid little issues that the thing shouldn't be having in the first place. It was very frustrating. I wanted to get out of that and get into something that I was not going to have to deal with that at all. And I just kept doing my homework and kept coming back with, if you want a reliable car, if you don't want to mess with the issues, buy a Toyota. So that's one of the reasons why I didn't buy a Jeep. The forums, the Toyota forums, particularly for the T4R, like in the 5th gen Forerunner forums, there was droves of people, because I was thinking about buying a Jeep Wrangler. I've always liked Jeep Wranglers, and I felt like I figured it would be fun. But it seemed like there were droves and droves of people that were like, I had a Wrangler, I was tired of the issues, so I bought a Forerunner. It was just like, I know a lot of people have had Wranglers for a long time, have driven them for 200,000 miles or more, with barely any issues, but I did not want to get into a scenario like I was in, where I was constantly having to mess with and worry about, and just, I didn't want to do that. I'd be like going from one spotty, reliable, I just felt like I'd be going from the same situation to another situation of like kind of the same, I just didn't want to do that. So I'd already decided I was going to buy a Toyota, primarily because of reliability issues. I didn't want to have to mess with or worry about or think about like, hey, I mean, as long as I get all my regular service done, is this thing going to be working right? Is it going to start? Am I going to have some weird, I don't even want to think about any of that. I wanted to be, because I drive a lot. I put probably 25, close to 30,000 miles a year on my vehicles because I drive a lot. So I needed something that I wasn't going to have to worry about, and I really wanted something that I could drive for 200,000 or 300,000 miles. Drive for 150,000 miles and give it to one of the kids. I wanted something I could buy, I could pay off, and I could keep forever and never have to think about it. And that's why I kept coming up with a Toyota. And I knew that if I was going to go to Toyota, nothing against Camrys, I just didn't want to be a Camry guy. I wanted to get a truck. I wanted to do something different. I'd never had a truck before. And so, you know, I'm looking at Toyotas. I'm going to get a Toyota. I'm not going to buy a Sequoia. I'm not going to buy a Tundra. I didn't want a full-size truck. I just didn't. And so it really came down to Tacoma and 4Runner. And the Tacoma, I love the new Tacoma. Just almost nothing that I don't like about it, except for the fact that over the bed, it's not enclosed. Bear with me. I'm looking at the Tacoma, I'm going, man, this thing could be exactly what I want, but I'm constantly thinking to myself, like, I'm just gonna cover the bed with something. And then the next thought is it gonna leak? I mean, what if I have camera gear back there? I mean, like, I toss a ton of stuff in the back, and I don't wanna ever have to worry about it getting wet. And I think they make good camper shells that don't get wet. I mean, you guys would know better than I do, but that was what I kept coming up with. And it's not climate control. I'm just like, just get a 4Runner. It's closed in. It's just a 4Runner. I like the Tacoma. I actually liked the Tacoma better, but the 4Runner was totally closed in the back. And I was like, you know what? That's got to be the pick for me. So that's why I bought a Toyota, and that's why I bought a 4Runner. The model of the 4Runner that I bought is the Trail Edition, which is the same as today, which is the model that's the same as mine today that's available is the TRD Off-Road, I believe, TRD Off-Road. Now you've got the TRD Pro, which is like a fancy version of the Trail. It's got some fancy stuff on it, which I have the front TRD Pro garnish. But then you've got the TRD Off-Road, which is like the Trail model, which is what I have. And then I'm not sure what the other models are. The reason why I picked the Trail model, this was very specific. I knew I didn't want the SR5, even though the SR5 had four-wheel drive. I wanted the Trail model. And the reason why I wanted the Trail model, and the reason why you should think about what you're going to get first, is that the Trail model comes with a factory rear locking differential. And that's kind of huge. To install a locking differential, a rear locking differential aftermarket, the locker itself is like $1,000, and I don't even know how you install it. I mean, it's a process. It could be done, but I would imagine it would cost at least $1,500 to get something like that done. You know, $1,000 for the locker, $500 for the install. I don't know. That's something that I really wanted to make sure I had. The other thing that I really wanted is I wanted crawl control. I use crawl control, and if you have crawl control and you've not used it, you need to kind of put it to the test. It's not a get you out of anything all the time kind of situation. It's something that you need to learn how to use. I'm not saying I'm an expert at it, but let me tell you some of my uses for it. I've used it to get unstuck from sand, but some of the most useful uses that I've found from it is like when I'm on extremely rocky terrain, but they're like kind of small rocks, and I'm just kind of getting tired of like modulating my gas, my accelerator, and the brake pedal, you know. And this really, like, the crawl control, it's almost like cruise control for that kind of scenario. And you can keep going at a steady, like, you know, 1, 2, maybe even 3 mile an hour pace. And if it's relatively level, it just kind of rolls right along, and it's fairly controlled. I use it for that quite a bit. Something else that I like to use it for is if I'm going to be coming on a very steep descent that is kind of long, I'll use it for that. And same thing for going up. But if it's a steep descent where it's kind of controlled and there's going to be some grade changes like what you might have in Moab, I'd prefer to just use the pedals because I really want to make sure I can feel what I'm doing. And that's, I think, a big thing that a lot of people don't use crawl control, like the wheelers, the guys that are really experienced. They want to feel it, and I can respect that. You kind of want to feel what what it's doing. In hindsight, I didn't realize at the time the big differences between like the premium model and the non-premium model. The premium model gives you lots of little features like leather and sunroof. I kind of would like to have a sunroof. I'd kind of like to have leather, but kind of don't really care that much about leather. Heated seats are nice. And the other thing, and here's kind of a pro tip, and I didn't realize this until after the fact, but there's a lot of people that I have read about that have negotiated the TRD Pro front valence garnish thingamajigger and the TRD Pro wheels as part of their deal. They've had dealers throw them in or include them in price or get them at a discount or something like that, because those two things are really nice looking and they're pretty expensive. Also, another little pro tip though, the Trail model wheels, which are the same as the TRD off-road wheels, but the TRD off-road wheels look a little bit different. They're kind of a gray color in the accent highlight parts. They're actually 7.5 inches wide. The TRD Pro wheels are only 7 inches wide. They recommend that if you're gonna run 285/70/17 tires, which is what I run, 285/70/17, which is a real common tire size for this type of application. If you're gonna run tires that size, they say that you really wanna have a 7.5 inch wide rim at the minimum. I think I know of people that are running the TRD Pro wheel, a 7-inch rim on 285s. I don't know how big of a difference it makes. I think maybe you're running a greater risk of losing a bead or something. I'm not a tire guy. I don't know all the answers here, but that's the recommendation. And I'm just giving you information here. So that's about it for today. I don't really have any other things to talk about. I have 60,000 miles on my 4Runner right now. The only thing that I regret, and it's not really a regret, the only thing that, really about the only thing I don't like about it is really the lack of power. The power plant that they have in this, the 6-cylinder engine that they have in this, it's an older motor. It's been around for a long time, which is probably one of the reasons why it's such a reliable motor. But it's really underpowered. So a lot of people in the 4Runner community have been kind of crying out to Toyota to come up with a more powerful solution, maybe put a V8 in it again, or maybe put, I don't know. But there was a TRD Pro supercharger that was offered through the TRD program or whatever that was nixed, but it was actually made by Magnuson, and you can actually buy that now. And I've thought about it. I just can't justify spending the money. I just can't. And the long-term reliability is something that would be concerning to me, but I know people that are running it and they say it's amazing. So maybe someday, but that's a topic for another day. That's all I got. I really appreciate you watching. Thank you for showing us your support by subscribing. Smash that button wherever it is on the screen. And the next movie, I'm sorry to interrupt our little series here, but I just wanted to get something else out there because I had something in my mind. I just wanted to talk about it. But the next one, we leave on our trip from Phoenix and head out to Anza Borrego State Park with our brand new turtleback trailer. Isn't that thing sweet? I can't wait. I can't wait to show you. This is the biggest adventure we've ever done.